You are listening to the Mary Jane Society podcast, where you will meet entrepreneurs, cultivators, scientists, doctors, and inventors in the cannabis industry.
I'm your host, Pam Schmiel, marketer and publicist in the cannabis industry. Today, our guest is Matthias Fischer. He's the founder and managing director of Canymed, a subsidiary of Grunhorn, Germany's largest cannabis supply chain. He shares insights into how Grunhorn is building its seed-to-sale operation and supporting medical research through its robust data collection. We talk about the industry's bottlenecks and what needs to be done for the cannabis industry to flourish in Europe. Let's welcome Matthias.
My name is Matthias Fischer, Managing Director of Canymed, and at the Grünhorn Group, I'm responsible for any medical partnerships. And within the Grünhorn Group, we have roughly 33 million of revenue last year. We service roughly 50 to 60,000 patients, have roughly 6,000 physicians in our network and work with them, and improving our service and, of course, the therapy within the cannabinoid space. For Grünhorn Group, we have, of course, let's say, Europe's biggest pharmacy, which is specialized in automation and compounding products within the pharmacy space. Then we have the wholesaler based on EU GDP. We have a manufacturing license based on EU GMP. We combine that with our own lab that is testing material and is generating data for any, let's say, future tools. And last but not least, we take those kinds of data in our academy. And within our academy, we, let's say, work together with our, let's say, whole network with key opinion leader in the market and put together some paper based on the data we generated and based on the data that all the other key opinion leader generated and produce new, let's say, knowledge around that. That is in a nutshell the Grünhorn Group. And since 1st of April, of course, we are growing. It's since April, since the partly legalization in Germany, it's even more exciting to see what's happening on the market and focusing on the, let's say, innovations and new products and new players that are coming.
Yeah. So you're vertically integrated except for cultivation.
Exactly. We have partners all over the world. So in Canada, in Portugal, in Denmark, Colombia, wherever a cannabis agency is existing, that is required by the regulatory or by the UN Charter from 1961. And every country that has a cannabis agency and is cultivating cannabis can work with us, right? And we work with the most kind of companies. And we have the most, let's say, most products within our pharmacy.
Okay. And so now that Germany has gone recreational, is that what you're making inroads into the recreational market? How does that work for people who want to buy cannabis, since you have to get it to a pharmacy, right?
Yeah, legalization is in Germany a special situation because we don't have, let's say, a proper market legalization for all the people that can go into a shop, into a dispensary, can say, I need 10 grams of cannabis and I can get it there. That is not happening in Germany. We have cannabis clubs, which is a private initiatives of, let's say, maximum 500 people who can grow on their own, or you can grow at home. And that is combined with, from my perspective, a very nice approach. And I'm really looking forward for the future that we have a strong pharmacy, let's say, legalization. So we coming from a narcotic world and entering in the traditional RX world, which means I still need a doctor. I need really an indication for cannabis, but the levels for the indication is a bit lower than before. Yeah, so when you have narcotics, the requirements based on the, let's say, the laws are much higher than on traditional RX cannabis medications.
Do you think that the recreational market will be bigger than the medical market, only because I know that Germany insurance covers, I guess,
prescriptions, maybe not all, but prescriptions, and that people might want to go through the medical market because they would benefit from having their prescriptions paid for by insurance. Is that how it'll play out, do you think? Or will you have a full-blown medical market that's just separate from the medical, I mean, recreational separate from the medical?
So my personal experience is, and I had a lot of contacts with, let's say, growers, home growers, and so on. And since April, after 4 months, we see the first results. And if you compare the high quality of pharmaceutical cannabis in comparison to the homegrown cannabis, you see a big difference. So it's not only about the THC levels, where we have 33% in the medical space. It is about, you know, the smell, the terpenes, you know, the looking of the buds. You can't compare that. And I know that, for example, in US or in Canada, you have extremely nice quality, even in the recreational market. That is what I so far haven't seen on our own market in Germany. That is the reason why I say Germany is special. I like the model because you have that security that a doctor is looking at you, a pharmacist is looking at you, and you know, all the risk can be managed. Yeah. And in the combination of lowering the indication barriers and having a good control system in place, from my understanding, it's a nice and let's say long-term model for our special market here. And I'm pretty sure that we reach out to 5 to 8 to 10% of the population in Germany that can be treated for, let's say, small indications in Germany.
So, so as you're building, I guess, like a database of, you know, what type of cannabinoids or terpenes work well for certain, you know, medical issues, are you requesting or from cultivators that you're importing, you know, product from specific strains and combinations of things? Is that how that's working?
Absolutely, good point. Within our lab, as I mentioned before, we have our own analytical machine. It's called the GCMS, or gas chromatograph, and that is a machine, let's say, that is able to measure terpenes within the flower. And what we have done is we are taking all the product from the market, from every manufacturing company, from every cultivator that is accessible on the German market. We have the same condition in our stock, same temperature, same, you know, humidity and so on. We have the same team that is analyzing that stuff, and we have the same mathematical method to calculate the exact terpene volume within the flower. So having said this, we have today a database of roughly 400 to 500 strains, where we can compare all the terpenes with the indications and effects that it have on your body system. So we have 5 pillars. So for example, focus, calm down, sleep, energy, and so on. And based on that, we have, of course, it is quite obvious, we have a lot of strains that are, let's say, based on indica hybrids, that are more, let's say, based on beta-mucin, making you more sleepy, making you more relaxed. But we have, I would say, 0 strains in the market that have, for example, no focus effect. Yeah. The reason why there is, for example, pinene, a terpene that is responsible for focusing on things. And there are, let's say, nothing to 0 strains on the market. And every cultivation company, we ask for exactly that kind of stuff. With roughly only 20% sativas on the market, which make you more energy and focus and so on, and get let's say, your mood up, that you're more energized. And within that database, of course, we ask our cultivation partners to produce those kinds of strains.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the future, is predicting and knowing which specific cannabinoids. I here in the United States, THCVA is really, really, really big right now. Is that something that's on your radar? I know it's all getting going over there. We've been kind of here for a while, but like, are there specific cannabinoids that you're all really focused on, or, you know, something like a THCVA? Or I don't want to get off the path, but I'm just curious.
I can give you very pragmatically an answer on that. We're looking into every, let's say, a piece of the flower. Yeah. So whatever it is, we have it on our radar because we have a special team who's responsible only for analyzing the plant.
Yeah.
Finally, to make somebody understand what we really do is we talk about strain frequency, which means what is the, let's say, the impact on your body system and on your head. Yeah. And if you have some flowers that make you, let's say, you have this typical cannabis effect inside, but there are some other plants that make you more clean, like on a rail train, that gives you the opportunity to have really the feeling that somebody is helping you. Yeah, so your head is clean. It's like in a big white cloud, and you have the feeling that your pain is reduced and the stress is lowering. You can really focusing on regenerating your health. And this is summarized in the strain frequency, how it feels after 5 minutes, after 50 minutes, how does it feel after 20, 30, 60 minutes, and how long is the strain within your body system active. So that leads to another topic that we say we don't look only into the strain, into the flower. We have a full extraction in our pharmacy that is allowing us to produce, based on the strain, the same oil extracts, yeah, which have a longer effect on the body system, yeah. And then on top of that, we produce capsules that give you another 1, 2, 3 hours of positive effects on your body system or head system. So that is understanding the future that you combine. If you have find a flower out of those 300-400 and you are happy as a patient and the doctor is saying you are absolutely in the game, then we produce all the other application methods.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's what I think is so intriguing, or probably one of the hurdles that Germany is going to probably have to get over, is going through a pharmacy system, which I agree is so great to control, to control everything, versus what we're doing here in the dispensary system, which is basically 20-year-olds, prescribing specific products to people, based on, whatever. Yeah. But the pharmacist's role, are they actually producing, formulations for capsules and tinctures? How is that working?
Yeah.
And how are you training pharmacists and all this? It's a big job.
Yeah.
Right.
So the good news is they studied pharmacy. Yeah. So that is a 5-year, let's say, university study. So most of the let's say required knowledge is already done in the pharmacy. And then on top, we are on the market since 2018 with the wholesaler, 2020 with the pharmacy. We have, of course, a big team of pharmacists that are already making experience in that space, which means if new pharmacists entering our company, of course, they are trained by our pharmacists on top of the university study, which makes those guys to a really highly effective team. And of course, they learned all the problems and challenges, and they find all the solutions that you need in the market. A big topic within our pharmacy is, of course, automation, right? So yes, it's a compounding product, and yes, you need to produce step by step. But based on our data, we see, of course, that the most patients have some similar requirements, no? And based on that, we, of course, pre-produced. It's called in Germany Defektur. So it's a pre-production, so to say, within that space to make it more easy to, let's say, fulfill all the high demand that we currently have. The role of the pharmacist in detail is, what is a compounding product? Which means he need really to make sure THC is inside. I check the COA, whether really the, let's say, the pharmacopoeia is fulfilled. And they need, of course, to refill it into a patient final jar or package, label it and give it out to the patient. That is the normal role. And that is the big difference to final products, to RX products that you just can't hand over, right? And especially when you talk about, let's say, online pharmacy, you operate nationwide. Then you have on top some other, let's say, requirements to the pharmacist that make sure that over the distribution line, the product stay on the same quality as you have it in your pharmacy.
Right. So the Grünhorn group is the online pharmacy where people can order and get it delivered to their home, right? That's how you get it delivered?
Exactly. Normally we say you have an indication, right? You go to a doctor or a teleclinic, and then the patient can choose. And based on our, let's say, quality we have already delivered and the service we're offering, a lot of patients, of course, decide for us. But in the future, we see us as an open partner for other pharmacies. For example, if a patient needs local support, so we are working on models to really, let's say, invite other pharmacists that, let's say, can deliver the same service as we have it on our online pharmacy in a local space. So that is kind of stuff that we try to make.
Right, because standardizing products across all the pharmacies and the online. So you're strictly just online, or do you also provide, I guess, wholesale to your retail pharmacies? Is that
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So exactly, if somebody is, some people are asking how's that really working, and in the cannabis space, are those companies successful who have understood the co-opetition model, which means on two different layers you need to cooperate, in brackets, regulation, scientific requirements, creating studies and all that stuff. You really need to cooperate with the ecosystem. And then, of course, you have your competition, you have your pricing, you have your customers. This is what everybody is doing on their own, no problem. But you have a lot of stuff, especially in a new market, where you need to find the right way within the regulatory space, where the most companies work together and have, let's say, association, like the business cannabis association in Germany is called BPC, and that is a quite interesting and useful, let's say, association to work together, even with your competitors.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. So just also backing up, you said that you had lab testing. Do you do third-party lab testing outside for your actual final products? The lab testing you were talking about is testing the weed that's coming through, right? Okay, yeah, okay.
We do both, right? For the specific, let's say, tools that we create, we call it Flower Finder, based on terpenes that we can give out recommendations to doctors, physicians. That is our own thing. It's our USP, so to say. It's like something like an IPR. But on the other hand side, we need external labs, of course, for stability and for, let's say, our COA data when we launch a product. And for that, of course, we use external labs. Those guys have experience since 2017. They are extremely experienced in microbiological testing. That is, from my understanding, the most important part, that you really make sure that your products are absolutely clean and have no contamination. So yeah, we do it with external labs.
And how will the future look in the EU, or where are you positioning yourself? And are you able to actually ship product from your online pharmacy to other countries? Is that something that will be in the future? And
well, the sending from the pharmacy to other European countries, from my understanding, that is from a regulatory perspective today limited possible or not possible, I don't know. But entering other markets, we would do via our EU GDP wholesaler. So we have already, let's say, identified some markets. We work on our products. And yes, there are some plans to go to other countries like Poland, UK, and so on. Yes.
Are you the only online pharmacy so far in Germany?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
Would be nice, but no, reality is we have a lot of good, let's say, market players.
Okay.
I would assume roughly 30, 40 online pharmacies, maybe 10 big ones. But within our sales wholesale team, we see, I would say, every week 1, 2, 3 new online pharmacies. So a traditional pharmacy is saying, hey, I have my patient group and I would like to increase that. And then, of course, they have a very limited, online part. They start with it, some getting bigger, some not. So it's kind of a service that every pharmacy is delivering, even in the same city. But
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know how difficult it was to get through regulation or licensing to get yourself up. Like here, it would be very, very difficult. First of all, we can't even do online, but just to even to sell. Yeah. Okay. And then if you could just kind of touch base a little bit on any consumer trends that you're seeing so far, like just, yeah.
So from my understanding, the biggest, let's say, trend is the easiness or to enable the consumption of cannabis in a more easy way. Because if you talk about flower, you need to take the flower and put it in a grinder, then you have a mill or mill it, then you put it in another device, and then you inhale it. You need to wait for the battery, it's heating up, and so on. So 5 steps. And the future is, of course, limiting those 5 steps into 1 step. For example, some companies are working on vapes, which are, let's say, which need a specific requirement on CE device registration and medical device registration. But companies work on that. That might be a big trend because you need only, let's say, 2 to 5 seconds to start your therapy. Also, what we see is make it easier to use extracts. We're working together with a company in Portugal. It's called Somai, which produce a very pure extract that is close to water, I would say. Yeah, so highest quality, and you don't have the taste anymore of this cannabis nut similar taste. And last but not least, we combine that with a spray head. Yeah, that the consumption is really easy. You make 2 times, and then you know 1 spray is 2.5 milligram at a 25% solution, or you have 2 of those, and then you have 5 milligrams, and that is then enough for you, for example. And you know the easiness of those consumptions or the application that will enable more target groups and more customer groups that today wouldn't smoke, for example. Yeah.
Dosing is a problem for sure.
Exactly, especially overdosing, right? So you really need to make sure if I press the button once, then I get only once the effect and not 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, I really love the way Germany's rolling this out, like for the reasons you said, the controlling all this, because it's kind of almost like chaos. I feel like in the US for new consumers who don't understand, how many gummies to take, how many drops to take, all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. So do you see any bottlenecks, or what problems need solving in the supply chain, either in your supply chain that you see, or the infrastructure that needs to be built yet? Like, what are you seeing?
Well, I know I'm from an online pharmacy, so it's a little bit difficult to say the online pharmacy or the pharmacy itself within the compounding area is the bottleneck, but it is the case. We have an over demand, roughly. This is between, let's say, 50% or 100% more demand than before 1st of April. We have limited or good, let's say, supply of medical cannabis. We have some bottlenecks on that, but we see more and more cultivation companies after 4 months are building up stock. So this is, let's say, feasible. On the pharmacy side, as I said, the automation is the key thing, and the compounding product. So the requirements for the compounding product, really refilling, labeling, testing, all that stuff. It's not an OTC thing, just over the counter. It's really, you need to have a lot of work steps. On top, we see good growth and good energy in the, let's say, digital health clinic space. So a lot of clinics and physicians are putting themselves together and offering service. I wouldn't say that is in the future bottleneck. That was, by the way, before 1st of April, a big bottleneck, because the physicians needed special prescriptions. Yeah, and roughly only 10% of the physicians are able to deliver the narcotic prescriptions. And now it's so to say enough to have a white paper as a self-payer prescription. You can, of course, from a formal way, you need all information and it need to be correct and need to stamp and a signature of a physician. But every physician today in Germany can give out a prescription. So finally, the pharmacy will be the bottleneck, and especially when you talk about the digital journey end to end, it's important that all those companies work together to have really, let's say, less media breaks. When I come from, I have an indication, I have a problem, I inform myself, I go to a doctor, I find a doctor, the doctor is talking to me, he's giving me the prescription for a medication in cannabis, then I search for a pharmacy, I get my box from the pharmacy. So all those steps need to be very clean and lean in a digital, let's say, journey. And those companies in a partnership within the co-opetition who have the first solution that is as much as possible optimized, that will win the market.
But as far as cultivation, like importing, do you think it would be, I know that Germany's not growing as much as it needs to, but I've read that big companies like Tilray, or the 3 top companies of cultivators in the country, have all this space that is underutilized, I guess, waiting for the market to grow. I would assume it's a cost-effective way for your company to keep it in the country. Is that something that you're looking to bring in or tap into, as using more cultivation in the country than
in Germany?
Yes, in Germany. Yeah.
It is a good option, but the answer is not yes or no. From my personal point of view, right? There are tons of other opinions, but from an economical perspective, I see countries like Canada, Portugal, Denmark, Spain, and so on in a much better position to produce. Very simple reason: energy cost and personal cost. It's very high in Germany. So I would say 70%, 60% will come from abroad in the future as well. But when you look into R&D, when you look into special strains, special products, then I can imagine that it's extremely good to have a close, let's say, relation between the cultivation or production part and the customer base. Yeah, because when you produce innovation, you have new ideas, then the cycle of getting feedback need to be as close as possible. Yeah. And if you have a long feedback cycle from Germany to Canada, Canada back, and you need to wait for a month, that is maybe, let's say, a disadvantage within the, let's say, innovative space. So especially in the space of innovation, I see big potential for Germany and R&D.
Okay, great. And you may have mentioned this before, but are there any upcoming projects or initiatives, or partnerships that Grünhorn or Canymed are especially excited about, even going forward? I know you mentioned SOMI.
Yeah, we are open, and we work with every company on the market. Yeah, because we have an open certified business model. As a pharmacy, you are independent. So when a doctor is prescribing to a patient a specific product, the pharmacy need to deliver. No, so that is the open part of it. And on top of that, as I said, we are very successfully work with SOMI on one of the best extracts which are on the market. We're working with other companies like BC Green from Canada, which producing extremely well strains. We have a nice portfolio from them, and we're very happy to have those guys, because not only on a product and economical level we are very happy, even on a culture level we're very happy, because the management and the leadership culture is quite synchronized, and that is extremely important for trust and for future growth. And based on that, on our experience we have, of course, we talk to a lot of other companies, and we would like to offer our open market model to them as well. And maybe we have today 300 or 400,000 patients in Germany, which is for a market, let's say, nothing. It's maybe not 1%. But when we talk about 5 or 8% of the market population, there need to be an open business model to say, we give you a platform, and you can offer your products, and then we see what the market is giving us on feedback, and we're open for, let's say, co-developing new products. We are excellent in data with an own BI team, so extremely smart people, spending a lot of time in other companies and on a university, and they developing, let's say, I would call it pre-AI models. Yeah, so yes, a human is modeling it, a human is controlling it, but that is necessary to think about what could an AI system then manage maybe in the future. So that is the intention, and that is the opportunity for everybody which would like to enter the German market.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Great. Yeah, I guess what advice, I guess, I guess anyone who's like in the United States, of course, everybody's over here just like, we want to go to Germany. They should come see you.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds great. I mean, we have, I just feel like also because we have been up and running for a while, we have a lot of innovation and great ideas over here, that I feel like the European countries could also benefit from. So I hope that all works out. And just what kind of like investment appetite do you see for cannabis ventures in I don't even know if that's something you're really looking at, but in the EU, are people starting to invest and
yeah, good question. First, to the appetite and the opportunity in Europe. As I said, we are just at the beginning. Yeah, so we have the biggest growth in front of us. So the investment opportunity is extremely good. I would expect a market consolidation over the next 1-2 years, because this is what we see in our data and our pharmacy. Of course, with 30-20% of the products, you generate 80% of the revenue, which means if you have 100 companies on the market, I would expect 20-30 will stay on the market. 70 is a bit too much. So I would expect a market consolidation, which means it's a good opportunity for, let's say, external investors to invest in the right companies, which are today need to scale up, which could say, we have an approved business model, we are already cash positive, now we go the next step and scale up. That is a big opportunity. What you need to invest into Germany is, of course, a lot of resilience. You need a lot of good attitude, positive thinking. I spent 20 years in regulated markets and telecommunication and elevator business, and every day was a regulator asking me something before I was able to earn money or a euro. This is what you need. It's a regulated market. That is what you need to know. It's a pharma market. Pharma rules are applied to this. You need to understand this. And the time to increase the volume it shouldn't be too aggressive. Yeah, so you need to have a proper and realistic business case, what we have. And even if you have already, let's say, proved that you are already cash positive, then this is a good sign for external parties to say, okay, this might be a good opportunity, and to grow with them.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So I guess we could just, I mean, I guess you've really said it is what if we end on what do you find exciting about the future of the EU market, and what are you bullish on, as far as
the big thing what we need to do in the next couple of years is generating data and running medical studies. That is a bit missing. We have tons of product, we have nice ideas, we have good patients, good physicians. But we need more studies, that we have really proven evidence that we can give that to new doctors, to new physicians, and to insurance companies, which are still challenging the cannabinoid therapy. And those market players are requesting data, studies, to really make the potential of cannabinoid really visible. And honestly, everybody that I talk to, I was in a congress where 200 physicians are sitting there and said, "Wait, it's crazy. The last 30 years we spent on make a synthesis of any active substance, and now we move back to a plant." Yeah. But understanding how powerful the plant is